Hey developers, today we're going to look at Vuesax, the front-end Vue components library. So it's a neat little components library. I wanted to go over some of the features, how to get started, how to install it in your project, and then take a look at the components that it offers. So before we get too far, let's have a quick word from our sponsor. I want to go ahead and thank our sponsor today, Eduonix. That's spelled EDUONIX.com. They have an amazing Black Friday sale going on where you can buy 2 courses, get 1 for free on all products. A lot of their courses are like over 90% off, so you get them for really cheap. They're really great deals. And also, they have something that you don't really see in many other places, and that is these E-Degrees. So you can get things like the MERN Stack Developer E-Degree program for normally like $200 for like $43. They also have the full stack JavaScript developer e-degree where you learn all about HTML, CSS, advanced CSS. Once again, completely like 13 different courses, 6 technologies, $23. So these e-degrees kind of bundle a bunch of different courses together, and it's an amazing deal. So you guys should check it out. Also, I just want to say one really cool course that you should check out. And by the way, if you're interested in any of these courses, I have a link in the description below. And if you use the code Erik20, you get an additional 20% off. So it's even more worth it. So for example, the Vue.js 2, the complete guide, it has tons of information on how to get started with Vue.js. It has like a Vue.js interaction with the DOM, conditionals and rendering lists, how to work with a Vue instance, components, some more of the advanced things. You can actually create a course. They create a whole course called Wonderful Quotes. You jump into router. It just has everything you need to get started. It's only $7. It's normally a $93 course. It's over 93% off. It's $7, and you can even get an additional 20% off if you use the coupon code Erik20 at checkout. So thank you for Eduonix. Make sure you guys click on the link in the description below. It really helps me out. Thanks. Hey, and if you don't know, my name is Erik. I'm a full stack developer, and this channel is all about learning different things about Vue, JavaScript, different frameworks. I even do some Angular every now and then. But today we're going to look at this Vuesax front-end Vue components library. Now, I think I'm not entirely sure how this is pronounced. I don't know if it's Vuesax or Vuesax, but either way, it's a component library. So let's take a look at it. Let's just do a quick look at it. You can see this is the website here. You can also, there's the GitHub. It's a lusaxweb/Vuesax. So in fact, if I go to the root of it, it looks like this company is the one that helped create it, and looks like their website's not working. Lusax Web. So anyways, let's take a look at the documentation here. If you look at the document, it has a getting started guide, contributions, and then it has a layout and grid. So let's try to get this working. I've only spent a little bit of time with it, but it seems pretty neat. Just looking at some of like the alerts, some of the breadcrumbs, some of the things that it has. So let's just start with getting started. And it looks like it's pretty easy. So I went ahead and created, before I started this video, a just empty Vue project using, if you don't know, I just did Vue create and then Vuesax YouTube. And then I just hit enter a few times and followed the guide, and it created the app for me. So that's all I've done so far. So to follow the installation guide, the getting started, you just need to install npm install Vuesax. So I'm going to call it Vuesax. I think I like that. So I'm going to hit enter here, and it'll just take a moment, and it'll install the library. Cool. All right. So it's installed, and of course it added to our package.json. And oops, the next thing you need to do is to use it in the main here. So I'm going to open my main.js file, and I'm going to simply import it in. So looks like a pretty easy way to import it in. Import Vuesax from Vuesax, and then right here we'll do a vue.use, and we'll put in Vuesax. That seems to be as simple as we need. Don't forget, I did this one time when I was testing this out before this video. You have to make sure you import the CSS, or none of it's going to look really weird. Nothing's going to work right. So I'll make sure I do the import there, and of course spell it right. Cool. And by the way, if this is called Synthwave 84, a lot of people always ask me what editor I use. This is Synthwave 84, so that hopefully eliminate 100 of the questions I get in the comments today. But if you have any other comment, please leave it in the description below. Actually, I like comments. Even if you ask the same question, I'll always answer it because I like people talking to me online. So yeah, leave a comment. I like it. Also, there's some options that you can add in here. It looks like this might be kind of hard to see. You can also import just the ones you want to use. If you want to use the button, select, pop-up, you can kind of just import those in instead of everything, and then just do view use a bunch of times. And also you can install material icons. Yeah, we'll go ahead and install that. So, why not? Okay, that's installed. And it says make sure you put this import in. So I guess right under the Vuesax import, we'll import this one in as well. Okay, I think we got everything in that we need to get started. One thing I saw here, there's some options. So if we go to themes, you can see part of it, you can actually put in the colors that you want. So there's some default colors, like primary, this primary, success, danger, warning, and dark. But we can change it if we want. So we can use this customized thing. So I don't know, let's go ahead and just put it in there, because why not? We may want to change it in the future. Let's see here. All right, so now we change the theme to this primary color here. Success is this color, and dark is this color. So it should look more like this when we start changing colors. You can also, looks like you have $VS that you can kind of do some things with as well. VS theme, which is a parameter, requires a JSON, the colors to change. And then looks like you can change the colors using server-side rendering if you're using Nuxt.js. But we won't worry about that. We're not using Nuxt.js. And it tells you here too, like here is the main colors and the CSS variables if you want to override them or change them. Let's see here, now that we have everything installed, hopefully. Let's do a npm run serve on our service, on our project here, and make sure that it actually starts up. So let's give it a second here. Okay, it said it started up. Localhost 8080. Let's make sure that's right. All right, so looks like it loaded. I don't have any errors yet. And okay, cool. So since we have it loaded, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping here. We know that when it loads up the home and about routes. So if we look at views, here's our home. So this is the hello world that gets imported in. We don't really care about that. And we don't care about the hello. Let's just see here. Working? So let's just see if we have it working. Okay, so we know for a fact that it's working here. It's loaded. So let me make this a little bigger. Okay, I'm going to go into we're going to take a look at this. And the first thing I'm going to show you is the grids. So this is kind of really common with a lot of different Vue libraries out there, Vue component libraries. They all have their own grid system. Vuetify had one, Quasar had one, and it's usually this 12 row or 12 column grid system. It seems to be pretty popular everywhere. I think they base it on the same thing that like Twitter Bootstrap has. So it's always the same kind of thing, and it also has the built-in flex start, center, flex end. So rather than having to write those, as you start getting further and further in your CSS career, you end up writing display, flex, justify content, center, justify content, flex end. You end up writing these things like a million times. So it's kind of nice they have this. Once again, I'm always thinking like, if I really wanted to use a grid system, maybe I would bring, I would probably use something else. Probably I wouldn't use grid. Or I wouldn't use like their built-in grid system. If I wanted to actually use grid, I'd probably use write my own flex or use actually display grid. instead if I really wanted to, or I would use something else like Tailwind CSS is what I'm thinking of, because they also have all these different directives and things you can put in. So let's take a look at like what this, like the normal grid is, and let's just make sure we're gonna just copy and paste this into our app, into the home route, and see if this little table shows up or looks similar to that. So we'll just copy and paste it, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. All right. Okay, so yeah, so here's the grids. 50%, 100%. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Looks like we got a view warning, failed to resolve directive tooltip. Was there like a tooltip or something in here? I'm not going to worry about that right now, but I just wanted to show you that the columns are working. So usually the way you set up, if you do want to use the column and grid system, which you're going to probably be using some of it, you would set up this VS row here, and these are your rows. And then you can set like the columns, like this one has a type flex. So, and then this would be like your justify center. So I'm assuming you could change this to like from center to line, I know, space around or whatever you want. And then this VS-W is the number of columns you have in there. So I don't know, if I delete all this, it looks like you also have, these are like V4s where they're just creating different columns. You have a tooltip too, which for some reason was giving me an error in one of them. So I don't know, so if we just save it like this, now we have 112 column, but if we put in 6, I believe this means we'll have 2 6 columns, so it would be like half and half. So I don't know if I put 2 divs here, test 1, and I don't know, a second div, test 2. And it looks like they're right next to each other. Oh, maybe because I have to do it like this. So I'd have one column that has test 2 in here, and then I copy and paste this. And I don't know, this becomes test 1. Okay, so that works. So we have these 2 columns, and they're both 6 is the width of each. So that looks like that's what it is. I'm assuming too, if you have multiple things in here, yeah, they just collapse together right on top of each other. All right, so that's the grid system. Let's keep going and take a look at a few others. We've already messed around with the colors. Let's look at the buttons. Everybody loves buttons. So normally here's like primary is blue, success, danger. So if I use VS-button and then put color, and you can either use primary, success, danger, or disabled. So I'm going to just comment that out and put my buttons in. Just copy them in there, save it, and let's take a look. All right, yeah, here it is. You can see here's purple because we made, if we looked at our configuration again, we made it this color. I don't know. Let's see if we put it, let's see if we can make this, I don't know, does this work orange? Oh, now it doesn't even show up. Maybe I have to put in the RG, the hex value. What is the hex value? Value orange. I don't even know what it is. FFA50. Let's see if it works now. Okay, there it is. So now you have an orange primary if I wanted to. And you can see here it has this little bit of cool little bit of, if you click on it, kind of makes that little animation on it. Let's see here. What else can you do with these? So, okay, so you can make them flat. And to make them flat, you would just add this type equals flat on there. Let's try that. So go back to home. So type equal filled. If I do type equal flat and save it. Okay, and you can see now the primary is flat until you click on it at least. You can do line downs, or you can have like highlights above and below. So to do that, you would put in like line origin and then type equals line. Oh, no, let's try that. So line origin, type equals line. And if we look here, now we have this little arrow underneath it. See here, little arrow, or not arrow, underline. And when you hover over it, it adds it. It's kind of neat little effect. You can do a gradient, so you can see that they look a little gradients on it, relief. So you can see a bunch of things. And you can even add, you can change the position that you can add icons to it. So here's the Google material. I think we installed that. So let's just see here. You put color primary, type equals border, icon equals home. Let's just, so if I wonder if I can put just on these other ones. Now, can I put in icon equals home? Would that work? Yeah, so here's the icon. You see the icon, home icons on there for danger. Yeah, looks like it's working. Yeah, so very cool. Yeah, they even have different sizes. To change the size, you would just put size equals large. You can send a string or object to directive with 2. So you can put 2, so you don't even have to use like it has its own directive for 2, so you don't have to wrap it around a router or a router link. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's keep looking. And here's the API, which is always nice to know, like what all the different attributes, directives that you can add to it. Like here's an href, target to, radius. And of course, you could just put your own click events or anything on it you want. Okay, let's take a look at one. Let's see here. We've been talking for a little bit, so let's just look at one more. Here, there's a loading. Okay, cool. So how does this loading work? So you have different types of loading icons. You can do different colors. So the default one is they just use the VS button and click the open loading, and so you use this $$ loading. So I'm gonna copy and paste this loading, open loading. So we go back to my default, my script here, and I'm gonna create a new methods, and then I'm gonna just copy and paste this inside there. I think this is what I want. And do I have enough? Or do I have too many? There we go. Okay, so now I have an open loading. So I should be able to take my existing button and just add a click event to it, to the open loading, and it should create it. Let's see if it does. So this is my primary button. I'm gonna just comment this out and just add in my click event and do the open loading. Is that what I called it? Open loading, yep. Save it. Let's go back. Here's my primary, here's my loading. So pretty cool. And the way that works is you just do this .vs and then .loading, and then in this case they just did a timeout, so it just does it for 2 seconds, and then you can do loading close. So anytime you want to do loading, you do loading close. And I think to change the loading on it, we would need to, if you can look at the example here, there's a different, you can pass in a type, and there's different types. Oh, so you can add an object to VS loading where you can set the type. So you can do default, point, radius, corners, border, sound, a material. So that's pretty neat. So there's all sorts of things in here. We can do pop-ups. The modal looks pretty good. A little bit of an animation there. I like this little X there. It's like kind of popping out of the modal a little bit. It's kind of neat. We can, you can't have a component library without a nav bar. So here's our nav bar. It has a hello world on the left-hand side. Radio buttons. Can't have a component library without radio buttons. I think some of these things are so simple, you could probably just code this up in like 20 minutes. But you won't have all the accessibility and all the stuff it adds to it that you would normally get. You would have to code that all yourself, so that's kind of nice. So here's our button here. So what did they add? They have a span in here. success. Yeah, so okay, I think that's all I'm going to show you today. If you guys are interested in Vuesax, let me know, and I'll do another video. We'll take some of these different components and maybe we'll create a small little app out of it. I don't know. Maybe we can create like a little blog app, grab some data from a backend, show it up in a card, and then inside the card have like add the nav bar at the top, maybe use the lists feature. I mean, this looks like really simple stuff to add in there. Maybe add in a few of these cool looking sliders. I don't know. I can create a whole app on this. I just wanted to give you just an overview of how to get started and get up and running. And I think this will accomplish that. So let me know in the comments below if you want me to go over it more. And if you've made it all the way to the end, I really, really appreciate it. Let me know. Thanks.